Where am I
your
looking?
voice.
Tell me where to look.
Look at Tula. Look at Tula, as if you're speaking to her. That way it will be good.
Okay.
Okay.
Carol Bowman.
Carol, what is your message here at ISSSEEM?
In the context of the conference, since this is the International Society for Energy Medicine, my message would be that we come into this life with an energetic template that is set up from previous lives. You could call it an energetic template or karmic patterns. And we come in with this template, and it informs our present personalities, our bodies, our behaviors. And sometimes within that template, we're carrying locked energy from past life trauma. And this often comes up in young children. They try to tell us about their trauma, or they have phobias relating to the way they died in the past. And we can help them immensely by acknowledging what they're saying if they're trying to tell us about these past life traumas, and allowing them to process it, because they can let go of this. They don't have to carry it with them their whole lives. Of course, some of these we would resolve naturally over the lifespan, but I think if you can allow a child to let go of unnecessary baggage at age 2, 3, or 4, they're going to have more energy available to be more creative and to fulfill their purpose here.
How did you come to doing this work?
This literally fell into my lap in the form of my 5-year-old son. He developed a phobia of loud booming sounds when he was 5 years old, which we noticed at a 4th of July fireworks display. And a friend of mine who was a hypnotherapist asked him about his fear. He simply asked him what he saw when he heard the loud sounds that frightened him. And immediately he started recounting this past life memory of being an American Civil War soldier who was killed in battle. And what was most interesting to me, that when he was recounting this memory, he described how he had been shot in the wrist, how they had bandaged his wrist, they had taken him out of battle, they wanted him to go back into battle, he didn't want to go because he missed his wife and family, and he felt very uncomfortable in his role as a soldier. So after he talked about this experience, not only did his phobia of loud booming sounds go away, but he had a chronic severe eczema on the spot on his wrist where he said he was shot in that battle, and that eczema cleared up completely.
Were you open to hearing what he said at first, or were you taken aback? How did that unfold for you?
Since my late teens, I was a believer in reincarnation, the continuity of consciousness after death, and I had read Buddhist literature, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and I did my first past life regression a year before Chase's memory was triggered. So since I had done my own past life regression and had a profound physical healing from that experience, when my son first started talking about being a soldier, I think I went into a state of shock because it was totally unexpected. Up until that moment, I had no idea that children could remember their previous lives and that it was so close to the surface. So after I got over my shock, I think because I had experienced it myself and was familiar with the field, I could see the implications for other children.
Some of the children you've worked with who've moved through and beyond these phobias, how are their lives different?
That's hard to say. I don't know whether I can really answer that because I haven't followed them all into adulthood, because I think I've been given over 1,000 cases at this point. You know, some are just single statements, but some are more complicated cases. And as one person, I haven't been able to follow through with all of them. So I don't really know, you know, after the phobia is cleared or after a physical symptom is cleared, I haven't followed all of the children, but they seem to have, you know, the normal things that children go through at different phases of life, but without the phobia.
Do you see the whole family being touched or healed in some way?
Absolutely, the family is affected, and I've seen parents who were skeptical, very skeptical, being transformed by their children's memories. And when you experience this, it's more than just a mental process. You know, you're experiencing a complete shift in your being, and a lot of these changes are very profound for the parents, and it opens them up to different possibilities, not only for their children, but in terms of their own spirituality and their own mortality. And a lot of parents have found great comfort in knowing that if this is indeed true, that they will live again, or they may be reunited with loved ones who have died.
What do you see culturally as being different about maybe America or the UK, where reincarnation, past lives are not as talked about as, say, in some Eastern cultures? Do you see a real difference in openness to belief, or is that changing?
Well, what I've seen from the children's case is that the quality of the case is very different in the West than it is in cultures where they believe in reincarnation. In cultures where they believe in reincarnation, children will have much more detailed and vivid memories. They will often remember proper names. They will sometimes remember their own names or names of loved ones, remember where they lived, and much more specific detail. In the West, what I've seen in the American cases is that children seldom remember names, seldom have extremely detailed cases like in the Asian cases. So there is a cultural difference, and I think it has to do with the cultural consciousness. I think where reincarnation is accepted, the climate is different, and I think the memories are much more vivid and forthcoming because maybe the children feel safer, maybe it's just in the mass consciousness, so it does affect the quality of the memory.
Can you share with us the timeline for rebirth? You had mentioned that some people come back maybe in a matter of minutes, and others, what's the longest you've seen before a next lifetime?
That's a good question. Most of the cases I see are of recent lifetimes, perhaps the most recent lifetime. And I know Dr. Stevenson did some statistical analysis, and I think, if I remember correctly, the average was about 3 years between lives. But I've seen quite a range. I really can't say that it's 3 years or 7 years or 1 year. And I know in my son's case, he said he had a short life between this life and his Civil War life, but that wasn't a clear memory. So in his case, that was about 150 years ago.
What's the most rewarding part of this work for you?
Getting emails from parents that say that they've used the methods that I describe in my book, and they've had good results with their children, that the children were actually able to resolve some troubling memories, and that the parents could do it with the information that I gave them. It saves me a lot of work.
How does that affect the consciousness, collective consciousness that you're referring to, or cultural consciousness? Do you think that resolving these phobias, having this sense of continuity, helps us in a way as culturally?
Absolutely. And actually, when I wrote my first book, I had this grand vision that within 20 years or so, children's past lives would enter, mainstream consciousness. And because of that, more children would be forthcoming with their memories, and we'd get more detailed memories. And that might be happening very, very slowly. And that is my wish, that that The Simpsons will incorporate a child's past life into one of their characters. Maybe Lisa will have a past life memory, and then it will become mainstream.
In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think this is a wide open field. I think what I hypothesized or theorized about in my first book as a starting point. There's so many ways to access these memories in children that I haven't even thought about. And there are probably many more ways to heal children to help them resolve these memories that I've thought of. And I just hope more people take up the challenge, and I've heard at this conference that just in passing that they know of healers who are working with children in their past life memories energetically. So I wish these people would come forward and write articles about it so we know how they do it and what they're doing and finding.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.